Hey guys, Logan Walter here. I'm a Dallas-Fort Worth realtor, and these are the top 5 pros and cons of living in Frisco, Texas. We'll look at everything from the school system to property taxes. Parks and Rec might even make an appearance. And before we go any further, don't forget to drop a comment below. Let me know if you agree with this list, what you would add to it. And if you find value in this video, click that like button and the subscribe button with the notification bell to get updated with more content like this on the Dallas-Fort Worth real estate market. We'll start our countdown of the top 5 pros and cons of living in Frisco, Texas with pro number 5, which is the school system. Now, there are many great schools in Frisco in every category: preschool, private school, co-op for homeschool, higher education. But for this video, I'm going to focus on Frisco ISD, the public education system. My wife is a diagnostician for Frisco ISD. By 2024, all 3 of our kids will be in the public school system. We are big fans, and we're not the only ones. Niche.com ranked Frisco ISD as the number 7 school district in Texas out of over 1,000 school districts. It was top 25 for athletics and top 10% for best places to teach. And when you look at the map put out by Niche.com, you see almost every individual school getting an A ranking, with most receiving an A+. However, even with fairly consistent quality across all of Frisco ISD, people still like to know which quality school they will be attending next year, and that brings me to con number 5 on our countdown, which is constant school rezoning. If you live in Frisco, you know about this. If you're moving here, be warned. For example, check out this map of elementary school zoning in a small section of Northeast Frisco in November 2015. And here's what that same section looks like in 2022. That's a lot of change in a 7-year period. But that's because Frisco ISD is constantly building more schools to keep classroom sizes small, and that's part of what makes Frisco ISD so great. As the city grows, the city continues to invest in the school system, leading Frisco ISD to get A+ in academics, college prep, and sports. And I believe that last one deserves its own point. Which is why pro number 4 on our countdown is the sports. This is not just Frisco ISD sports, this is sports at every level. Frisco may have the number 7 school district in the state, but an argument can be made that Frisco is the number 1 sports town in the country. What other town of 200,000 or 300,000 people is home to minor league baseball, G League basketball, headquarters for an NHL team, MLS soccer, the National Soccer Museum, multiple college football bowl games, and PGA of America headquarters? We even have sports YouTubers, and yes, I do appear blurred out in the background of a Dude Perfect video. It's the highlight of my life. But my favorite sports fact about Frisco is that high school football is played indoors. Teenagers play football in air conditioning. And that's because the world's most valuable sports franchise, the Dallas Cowboys, has its headquarters in Frisco. It's a $1.5 billion development called the Star. To put that number into perspective, Cowboys Stadium cost $1.2 billion to build. So the Cowboys practice facility, along with some of the development around it, costs $300 million more than the 80,000-seat stadium where the Cowboys play their actual games. Now the question is, who pays for this? And the answer is Jerry Jones and the taxpayer. Now that brings me to con number 4, which is the property taxes. Now it's not just Frisco that has high property taxes, it's Collin County. You can see here a map put out by Tax Foundation of the median property taxes paid by county. If you look at Grayson County, you'll see median annual property taxes of $1,907. Move that just down to Collin County, and you're looking at $5,594 per household, which is over $2,000 more than Dallas County. Now this is mostly because the houses are so nice and in such a great location. And if you're moving from California, say Los Angeles County or Orange County, your property taxes may be slightly higher, but you have no state income tax, so you come out way ahead in the end. As for Frisco specifically, yes, taxpayers are helping pay for some of these professional stadiums. As the Frisco ISD website explains, Frisco ISD has invested $19 million in Toyota Stadium, where FC Dallas plays MLS games, and $30 million for the Ford Center, where the Dallas Cowboys practice. But keep in mind that some school districts have spent as much as $70 million on new stadium construction and pay to maintain the facilities. And by some school districts, they mean Allen ISD, Prosper ISD, and McKinney ISD. By contrast, Frisco ISD is on the hook for less than $50 million to play in 2 professional stadiums, and stadium tenants FC Dallas and the Dallas Cowboys are responsible for ongoing maintenance and operations costs. This means that maintenance and operations are not paid for by the taxpayer. So, this shrewd tax maneuver, along with population increase, more taxpayers moving to Frisco, has allowed Frisco property tax rates to stay fairly consistent over the past 10 years. So yes, in relation to the rest of the state and the country, Frisco property taxes are high. But in exchange, Frisco is providing great schools, great facilities, and great places to live. Which brings me to pro number 3 on our countdown, which is the 5-star neighborhoods. 5-star neighborhoods are determined by 5 criteria of the HOA: knowledgeable board leadership, fiscal responsibility, experienced management, communication, and community involvement. My family lives in Grayhawk, which is a 5-star neighborhood in northwest Frisco, built in the early 2000s. At the time it was built, Grayhawk was one of only a few 5-star neighborhoods in Frisco. Now there are 49 5-star neighborhoods in Frisco, Texas, and more are being built every year. And there are many amazing neighborhoods in Frisco, Texas that don't have that 5-star designation, possibly because they just haven't applied for it. In general, the neighborhoods of Frisco, Texas are as high quality as you will find in the state of Texas. At this point, my neighborhood is one of the older HOAs in Frisco, and it is still top quality. There's an elementary school inside the neighborhood that posted a 9 out of 10 for test scores. There are multiple playgrounds, multiple pools, paths for running around the neighborhood ponds. And I point this out just to say this is normal in Frisco, Texas. There are neighborhoods with even more elaborate pools and playgrounds and running trails. It's hard to criticize the neighborhoods of Frisco. But if I have one point of concern, it's con number 3, which is gates and back alleys. Now, for privacy and safety, this is a pro, but if you're seeking community with your neighborhood, you should be aware of some of the barriers that exist to that community. I grew up in a small town where all of the driveways faced the main road, and that created a sense of community in the front yards. In Frisco, it's easy to enter your exclusive gate code, drive into your back alley, close your garage door, enter your house, turn on the TV, and wonder why you feel so lonely and disconnected from the rest of the Frisco community. Now, this can be counteracted in a few ways. 1, get to know your backdoor neighbors. If your driveway doesn't face someone else's house, it likely faces someone else's back driveway. And I have friends who will get together with their backdoor neighbors and have a wine night in the alley. 2, join a faith community or a social organization. There are many great churches and social clubs in Frisco. And 3, join the Frisco Community Guide Facebook group. I have a Facebook group called Frisco Community Guide that aims to keep people connected and aware of events happening in the Frisco community, so you can enjoy the privacy of your Frisco neighborhood while remaining aware of events and staying connected to people. You can find that group by using this QR code. I've also put a link in the description below, or you can just search Frisco Community Guide on your Facebook app. One of the things that gets referenced a lot in that group is all the common areas where Frisco people gather, which brings me to pro number 2, which is the city amenities. My family has taken full advantage of the Frisco Parks and Rec Department. For just $700 a year, if you're a Frisco resident, you can join the Frisco Athletic Center. That's $58.33 per month. And here's what you get for that. You get childcare every day for 90 minutes for kids 8 weeks to 11 years old. You get access to spin classes. You get access to weight rooms, basketball courts, racquetball courts, an indoor aquatic center, and most impressively, you get free admission to the Frisco Water Park, which is one of the best water parks in North DFW. Even if you don't join the Frisco Athletic Center, you should still pay $11 per person to take your family to the Frisco Water Park sometime. It's fantastic. But the Frisco Athletic Center is just the tip of the iceberg. There's also a Discovery Center for kids, a Heritage Center that has a museum with historical activities and events. There's the Rough Range Dog Park. There's even a 30,000 square foot space for senior adults called the Grove at Frisco Commons. If you want to get schooled in pickleball, the Grove is the place to go. I could go on and on about the city amenities. It seems every month another park or playground or youth athletic facility is going up, and that does bring me to con number 2, which is constant construction. If you like seeing cranes on your way to work, you're going to love living in Frisco. The most intrusive work is the work being done on the roads, but fortunately, the city has already widened FM 423, which is the main road that runs along the western border of Frisco and Little Elm. And the tollway is built out all the way through Frisco, which is nice. If you live north of Frisco, you're going to experience some road construction on the tollway in the coming years. But the highway that borders Frisco to the north, 380, is going to be under construction for years to come, and Frisco is currently working to widen Legacy Drive, Coit, Hillcrest, and Frisco Street. These improvements, along with dozens of school zones throughout Frisco, can create some city-like traffic, but it's not nearly as bad as Dallas or certainly Southern California. And all of these pros and cons lead us up to the number 1 pro, which is that Frisco is on an upward trajectory. If you move here, you're moving to a city that has rapidly been on the rise, and all signs point to it continuing to rise for years to come. In the year 2000, this was a one high school town that was viewed as being out in the country. Just 2 decades later, Frisco has 12 high schools. It's no longer out in the country. It's not even just a suburb. It is a city unto itself. And in 2018, Money Magazine named Frisco the number 1 place to live in the country. Then, when the pandemic hit in 2020, LawnStarter.com named Frisco the number 1 place to be stuck at home. By the way, McKinney was number 3 and Plano was number 8, so Collin County was the place to be. It's also where talent in the workforce is moving. EconomicModeling.com put out a study that said Collin County is the number 3 destination in the United States for top talent in the marketplace. It's also worth noting that Denton County is number 6 on that list, and West Frisco is in Denton County. All of this has contributed to Frisco growing by 71% over the past 10 years, which is the fastest rate of growth for any U.S. city with over 50,000 people. Of course, with growth comes growing pains, which brings us to our final con, which is the rising cost of living. According to a study put out by Redfin, from January 2020 to January 2021, Frisco saw a real estate price jump of 15.8%. And in the following year, there was a price jump of 36%, which means that the median home price went from $386,000 to $591,500 in just 2 years. While it's true that almost every market was on the rise in 2021, that 36% price increase is double the national average of 18% during that same time frame. But because of pro number 1, the upward trajectory, it still makes sense to buy in Frisco while prices are likely still on the rise. So if you want to move to Frisco, what are your next steps? 1, join the Frisco Community Guide Facebook page to stay up to date on what's happening in the area. 2, reach out to me personally. Here's my number. The rest of my contact information is in the description below. I would love to help. And 3, click like and subscribe on this video. I'll be posting more content like this on Frisco and the surrounding areas, so I'll see you next time.